stand as we have a word of prayer.
Good night. Heavenly Father, we worship you and I glorify your name. We give you thanks and praises, dear God. Dear God, we thank you for bringing us here, dear God, safely, dear God, from our families, dear God. You carry us back safely to them, dear God. Hasten those who is on their way, dear God. Guide and protect them, dear God. You continue to be our guidance and protection, dear God. Help us to leave today, dear God, with our understanding, dear God. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Of the City of San Fernando, Councillor Vinio Mungal Bisessa, to welcome everyone.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Our presenter for tonight, Mr. Terence Beepart, all our representatives of the San Fernando West Constituency Executive who are here, but most especially all you ladies and gentlemen of the City of San Fernando who've taken the time to come out today to hear what is going to be presented today by Mr. Beepart, to pose your questions to him, to his worship, and to the MP for the area who should be here shortly. And I especially want to recognize two of my council colleagues, Councillor Patricia Victor Wilson and Councillor Laverne Smith, as well as, I think I have another one somewhere. Councillor Nigam Joseph, who is, as usual, somewhere in the mix. I'm sure we'll see him shortly. Oh, there he is. It is indeed my pleasure tonight to welcome each and every one of you here, because whatever is going to be said tonight about the development of our city impacts on every single one of us. And I say us because I live here in the city like you. For too long, San Fernando, which is the jewel in the crown of Trinidad and Tobago, has sort of not been polished and has lost a little bit of its shine. But under the stewardship of His Worship the Mayor, Alderman Junior Reguello, the mayor who went before him, now Minister Kazim Hussein, and the councils, the last two councils who have been councils of the People's National Movement, slowly but surely, with lots of elbow grease and effort, we've been trying to restore that shine. And now to put the final touches to it, to bring it back to its glory, our MP, the Attorney General, the Honorable Faris Al Rawi, is here with his team trying to help us do exactly that. It was his mother's vision a very long time ago when she was president of the San Fernando, the South Chamber of Commerce actually, that used to meet at Cross-Crossing, at the GTA complex in Cross-Crossing. When I first heard about, and that was over 20-something years ago, the idea of the San Fernando waterfront. And here we stand, being able to present that to you. Again, it is indeed my honor and my pleasure as your, well, I'm actually the councillor from that side of Coffee Street. My colleague Victor Wilson, this is her territory, but we are all San Fernandians at the end of it. It is not about which area any of us represents, for we all are custodians for you and what where your interests lie. So as one of the councillors, the deputy mayor, and under this good stewardship, Your Worship, I need to get you your cape and your little cane now as a shepherd. Under the stewardship of Alderman Junior Reguello, His Worship the Mayor, to welcome each and every one of you. Sit back, pay attention, think of what you're being told, get your questions ready, and welcome to the new and improved San Fernando. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for your brief overview and welcome. We're here for what I anticipate would be a very interesting evening, and I want to commend the balance of tonight's audience, because what we're seeing is a cross-section of persons based on age, based on perspectives, as we look at the mature citizens, those who are looking for opportunities, and of course the young ones, the next generation of San Fernando. And I'm particularly enthused by this because you are the ones that will benefit from this initiative and the plans that will be outlined here this evening. And it's always encouraging when you see young people around, so I want to commend the young persons who are here, who made the sacrifice to leave the television, leave the computer, leave the cell phone, and to come here and spend some time and inculcate and get some ideas of what is happening. So I must also commend you for that. This evening is very interesting because we must again compliment our Member of Parliament for this initiative as we embark on an education process in informing the citizens on what our plans are under his stewardship in going forward. I am very excited because San Fernando is at the cusp of development at this point. It may be slow. I want to guarantee you that it is sure. As we look forward to all the projects that the government have more or less endorsed and financing, you also have to understand people tend to commentate without having facts. It is not easy to get money at this very, very difficult time. And if the Cabinet, in their wisdom, and under the stewardship of the MP, decide to spend $147 million in San Fernando, then we have to embrace it and make sure we benefit from that. So, and I'm looking at social media and those who say why we want to invest in Skinner Park. The Skinner Park is very dear to each and every one of us. Each and every one, and it's important. We do not know where the next Hazley Crawford will come from, where the next Sybil Martin will come from, where the next Valerie Narcis will come from. I'm calling some names here that you all may not be familiar with, but these are prominent athletes that represented San Fernando over the years. The next Rodney Wilkes, who rose to prominence and went all over the world representing Trinidad and Tobago. And today, we are very proud of them. So that is an investment not only for us, but for the future and development of San Fernando. And let me go further to say, Skinner Park has not been developed since 1966, when any kind of investment was made for its movement moving forward. When Errol Mahabi in 1966 decided to pave the asphalt track and to bring lights, making San Fernando the first city or the first facility with lights and an asphalt track. So let's continue in that trend to be the leaders as we move forward. I want to commend UDCOT for making the sacrifice and our hard-working, sometimes campaign manager, most times private sector operator, businessman, and who is here this evening to share UDCOT insights as we move forward. So let's be open, have an open mind to this, and there would be an opportunity where you can ask questions. And I would like to hear the very young ones. The young lady in a maroon top across there, you listen to this. There's a young lady in a white top with a black strap. Listen to what is happening here. Stand up and let your voices be heard. Ask questions. That is how you learn. That is how you develop and mature. So with no further ado, I will ask Mr. Bipat to take us through this evening's proceedings.
Check. Thank you very much, Your Worship. See, I'm getting instructions from Clifton already. Okay, so let me just say good afternoon to everyone and ask those on the outside to, Ms. Valdez, could you stop encouraging wrongdoing and come inside? Come and sit over here so you can get the information so when people come to the office you can answer the questions. Okay, so a lot of work has been going on behind the scenes. I have been placed at UDCOT to make sure San Fernando gets its piece of its pie. Of course, you know, the pie has been shrunk to, it's no longer a pie. So your Attorney General and MP have been fighting to see how much we can get from the national budget and at least to get some of these projects started, projects that have been talked about for many years. We want to just get some boots on the ground and, you know, get a thing on the road. So I have been working tirelessly, and if anybody worked in government before, you would know how difficult it is to work with some public servants. They will tell you exactly how it cannot be done for all of the day, and then you have to now go home and come back and try to figure out how to convince them that it could be done. This has gone on for 4 years, but we were able to do we've had some successes, and we are about to roll out a significant amount of projects in San Fernando. And keep in mind, it is important that this is a political meeting, that the PNM requires another term in office to finish these things that we have started. So it is important that you understand your role in all of this, because many of this hard work could go to nothing, like you've seen before. If somebody else comes in office, they would leave these things to rot. So you don't want to be wasting good resources, so you need to go out and pound the pavement to make sure the PNM is returned to office. So I'm going to do 3 presentations. Thus far, we've had some small successes in that we would have gotten a repainting exercise done at the Mbakade townhouses, and I think a roofing exercise is going to start pretty soon, where they'll cover all those roofs that have been leaking for donkey years. We've also completed almost completed the San Fernando Community Center. So that is going to be open at the end of the 20th of August. It should be fully operational and handed over to the community. And I think the MP would have worked on a street lighting exercise on the Lady Hills, and the mayor would have been doing quite a bit of work on traffic management, which has actually worked. And we are now benefiting from driving through the city without too much traffic, and I'm not too familiar with all the projects of the corporation. So let me get into what I'm here for. UDCOT have been given the mandate to be the #1 executing agency for the government, and to find ways of funding some of these things. So I'm going to start with HTC. There are 3 major projects that are going to be coming to San Fernando, some of which have been tendered already, some of which would be in design stages at this point in time. And at the end of the year, they should see groundbreaking for Carlton Lane, Lady Hills, and Roy Joseph. Now, Carlton Lane, as you know, was demolished some years ago, and residents were displaced and moved to other places, and the land just remained there doing absolutely nothing. What is proposed there are 120 units. I think it's 6 towers, 6 stories high, and this contract, well, it started off as a PPP. Where do you want me to go? Okay, I'll stand over here. Yeah, so this project is going to be financed by Republic Bank as a private-public partnership. These units are 2 and 3 bedroom units, and I think it's about 68 apartments all told at the Carlton Lane complex. This is where the property is. For those who know Leoto Street, this is the larger plot of land, and then across the road where vagrants occupy now, this is going to have 6 towers, 6 stories high, with 68 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom apartments. Very modern facilities, and it's not going to be too expensive. The government have asked us to bring in a unit at maximum $750,000. So we are trying our best to manage the cost to keep it within that kind of price. So these are what the towers are going to look like. Lady Hills is an interesting project. This is actually going to be close to the waterfront. This project is also financed by the Chinese government. So unfortunately, the Chinese are going to be building this project. This project is worth 1 billion TT dollars, and the contract have been awarded to China's Jiangsu, and they are in the process of breaking ground. Again, 130 apartments, and not exceeding 750 for the 2-bedroom. And of course, the 3-bedroom is going to be somewhere around $900,000. We are trying our best to keep this under $1 million. Again, this is where the property is, for those who know San Fernando. This is Hatter's Panyard here. This is the Ministry of Works shed. The government have acquired this property, and where the gentleman repairs cars, the government have purchased all of this here. And across the road, just behind the Girl Guides, this entire plot of land here going to the back of Rosswood Street, these 6 towers are going to be going up. I'm going to do a presentation on the road network to show you how we're going to diversify the road, divert the traffic, to make sure that these tenants here or these residents exit onto the Rienzi curtain without having to go through any traffic. And that's already in train. So basically that's Lady Hills, 6 towers, 132 and 3-bedroom units, very modern. The last development is a piece of land that is owned by Udicott, thanks to Calder Hart. Don't write that. But Mr. Calder Hart, in his wisdom, would have purchased quite a bit of pieces of parcels of land on Prince of Wales Street, including the Dean's Electrical Building. That's also owned by Udicott, and I'm supposed to convert that into a community center soon and a homework center. At the back of Dean's will be Roy Joseph. And again, that land is owned by Udicott, just behind the Faith Center Church. This is the Faith Center Church here. You come inside Roy J, you'll probably see it covered in bush right now. But we are going to do some villa-type condos in there. This is already awarded, I think, and the design stages are where we at. So it's going to be 3-story buildings, 24 units, just around the corner in Roy J. To utilize this empty piece of land just behind Faith Center. Okay? So those are the 3 major housing projects in the San Fernando West, San Fernando East constituency so far that has been approved and earmarked to begin. We wanted to start before September, so you should start to see some activity sometime September, October on these 3 sites. So this is basically the HDC project. Well, this is the cadastral of the, or a site plan of the lands behind Faith Center. I think this is Faith Center here. No, 4 buildings at the back here. This is what it's going to look like, more or less. Still designing it to reduce cost and increase energy efficiency and make it modern. So the designers are constantly at it, and to bring the cost down as well. So that's it for HDC. Let's go to the San Fernando waterfront on the same flash. Let's go into, you're going to see a, basically, we've been hearing this, escape this one, yeah, close this one. Aaron after might have been 4 years old. And the MP has asked that we stop talking about it and actually get it done. This has been a mammoth task. Of course, it went to the Ministry of Planning, where the Prime Minister thought it was best placed. And then, of course, short of 2 years, we realized it was dying again. And just last 2 months, May, we would have gotten it over to Udicott to manage. So basically, Cabinet approved 4 new projects from the waterfront. One was the reclamation of 3.8 hectares of land north of the waterfront, which is just behind the yacht club in San Fernando. There's already 1.8 hectares that have been reclaimed, and we are in the process now of reclaiming a further 3.8 to give you something like 5 hectares. On that 5 hectares of land, proposed would be a new water taxi terminal. We'll also be dredging a new water taxi channel that will accommodate medium cruise ships and a home for the party boats, which of course NIGOM will be very happy to hear that. We'll also be relocating this, the custom building. A building is going to be built for the custom administration. Right now they're on a container, so that is also going to be there. And we had proposed there a Hyatt hotel, and only yesterday I found out that Hyatt has changed their mind, and they want to put the hotel in Couva. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So that is not off the table yet, but they did a feasibility study, and based on the activity in Couva, they believe that the investment might be better there with the aquatic center, the now hospital, and the redeveloping of. So it is important that we get some activity in San Fernando to attract these types of investments. So they're not off the table yet, but again, their eyes are on Couva, and they thought it would be better for now to put a hotel there. Now, with the Brian Lara, we are trying to convince them when there are international games, there aren't enough hotel stock in San Fernando to accommodate this. The idea with Skinner Park, which we are trying to explain to most people, is that we are trying to bring a facility, a world-class facility, to San Fernando, where international games could be hosted, to bring the sport tourism to San Fernando. And therefore, the conversation has to change a little as to how Skinner Park was used in the past and to what we wanted to go, the direction in which we want Skinner Park to go. And it's ready to bring more development, more investment. So if we get 2 hotels to put up on the waterfront and an energy conference facility, we have a captive market there for permanent activity and investment in the waterfront. So that is the thinking behind the redevelopment of Skinner Park, where an international game could be hosted, and therefore we could now start to lobby for international events to come to, even regional, to come to San Fernando. The Brian Lara is under UDCOT as well, and we're just about to sign off on ICC approval. They've asked us to fix a few things, and that means that the Brian Lara can actually host an ICC test match. So you see right away, you bring England and Pakistan to San Fernando. Where are you putting them? That's the team members alone, full in trade winds. So you see the need for people to start to think in that direction, long term, and then of course, as long as tourists and arrivals are here, you have spin-off business. Everybody would benefit. So, our MP is here. So the 3 point. All right. MP, I was able to just go through HTC, the 3 projects in HTC. You want me to just quickly run through them so you could wrap up and tie everything together? All right, so you would find back HTC after I'm done with this, right? So just for Faris to see. Okay, so that is the 3.8 hectares of land, and I'll give you a little idea of where it's going to go and what it's going to shape is going to look like, and the kind of investment we are hoping to attract. As I said, the government did not have the money to do the full thing, so the bottom line is to start the infrastructure work and to invite investors to come and invest. The other area that was approved by Cabinet was the relocation of the dwellers, but we've put that on hold for now because there is no need for it at this point. So that's on hold, so no squatters would be relocated. The removal of PTSC to OAS, that's ongoing right now. A little sluggish, but we plan to get that out of there as quickly as possible because there is a contract to be awarded for that piece of property where PTSC is currently on the waterfront. So that's phase 2. Plaza San Carlos would be 4 restoration or 3 restoration buildings. The Rodriguez building, the TGR building, I think the Black Cat Hotel. So those are on, I think next week, we have some Cubans coming to look at it. The National Trust is already on the ground doing some assessment on these buildings. Today they called me to ask me if they could break into the building because they couldn't find the keys. So I told them yes. They couldn't find the keys for the Rodriguez building. So if anybody see somebody breaking the door, it was us. So the work is actually started there. So those are the 4 projects that to kick off the waterfront to actually, according to Faris, just get it started. I keep hearing that about 1 million times. So just to get the project off the ground. You would probably, if you go down to there are 3 others, the widening of the Lady Hills, the seawall, and of course the establishment of the boardwalk is going to come after the seawall is done. So we will look at the seawall and the widening of the Lady Hills. All right. So again, this project just came to us officially May 28, 2019. So you could just imagine the last 2 years it really was dwindling at the Ministry of Planning, and now it's at UDCOT where myself and some others have to drive this thing and get it off the ground. Where are we at? So currently, if you find yourself down on the waterfront, you would see Coastal Dynamics is a company that is doing all the approvals, all the testing, and the design of that piece of reclaimed land. They are there on a barge. And then a contract was awarded to a Dutch company called Van Og, and they were here up till last week. They're going to be doing the reclamation and the dredging. They're using a dredge and fill because that area is pretty shallow. So they're going to be doing dredging and filling, and of course bringing in some imported fill. We are currently working on the CEC, the EIA from EMA, and all the approvals. You should actually start to see some dredging work going on around September 30th. If you go down there right now, you're going to see that the 1.8 has been cleared and is being hoarded, and some site offices are currently on there in some containers that we've just put there Friday. So you should see starting to see some activity. So this is basically, this area here is the already reclaimed 1.8, and this is the 3.8 that we are adding to this at the old jetty that's going to be demolished here. This, of course, is the yacht club somewhere around here. And this was intended to be all the way down to the Hatters area. But we only have money for this portion here to start the development. So therefore, this is going to be a long project. But of course, this area would be properly well constructed by the time we continue this reclamation over the next couple of years. Okay, so we go to the other project that the MP have been really fighting for, and this is going to go where the PTSC garage is currently. So we are currently really trying to get PTSC out because we need to award this contract. We already have a contractor. It's a PPP, meaning private-public partnership. Doesn't cost us any money. The contractor is coming up with his financing, and we have some arrangements. Now, if you've been to One Woodbrook Place in Port of Spain, it's a similar idea that is going to be going down there. Commercial, residential property. Restaurants, businesses, and people live upstairs. That's the model all around the world. So this is basically what it's going to look like. It's a rendered, a sketch. These are residential towers here, penthouses up here. Down here is all restaurants, banks, basement parking, A3M, little entertainment area. That's basically the span of where PTSC is some close to 4 acres of land at the back of the, we probably will take some of the hill down in the back of Rushwood Street to push the property a little bit inside and maximize the use of this space. This is in design stage mode. It's a design bill. So again, the MP there has a direct sort of input into what he wants to see there. And this could be, we name this mixed use because it's mixed use, commercial, residential. This is another idea from another architect that said this is the way to go, smaller, less structures, higher. Well, all of that is going to be ironed out. This is another rendering from another architect, a Chinese, local Chinese this time, Mr. Poon Kong. I think he's a little crazy, but he does some good work. All right, so the other, and I found out, Faris, you asked me last time. Yes, we got a proponent, and we are going to award a contract for $23 million for this facility. It was sent to the Tenders Committee on Tuesday last week, and we got the approval yesterday. So that is the final figure. Don't know the guy's name. I think it's, I can't remember right now. So basically, this is a fishing facility which is going to be opposite, for those who remember, this is a little lay-by that a former mayor would have, let me don't get political there. But a former mayor, my good friend Ravi, would have put here, was it him? Navi Bardali, yes. So yes, right in the ocean, there's a little lay-by here with some solar lights and stuff, a little seating area right here. We are coming off here with a jetty, and we are going to put the fishing facility on piles in the sea. This facility is going to be equipped with ice maker, coolers, chillers, incinerator, fuel above ground. I think the fisherman was alluding to that. It's an above ground 5,000 gallon tank that NP is going to place there for storage of fuel. The argument, of course, is who's going to run it and who's going to collect the money. We will leave them to figure that out. But that was the question NP asked, who's going to collect this money? Is it the fishermen? Or I said, well, we're going to fight about that afterwards. And this is what it's going to look like. Again, it's in design stages. It's a wooden deck, most of it wooden, some of it will be concrete. And we're trying to make it as open as possible. There'll be an entertainment area for what we call a fish fry, like a hoistings in Barbados. So persons can actually enjoy fry fish and fish broth and some entertainment on this deck, right opposite where the mixed-use facility would be going. So this is not the regular fishing facility. One have to understand that we are taking this a little bit above what we have now, and we have to change our culture a little bit to accommodate this. There's going to be some rules here, and we can't operate that way we are custom operating. There are going to be lockers for fishermen. There's going to be a boat building facility there. There's going to be a net repair area as well on that. $23 million to be spent on this facility. So currently, this was a picture from last week. The site has been cleared and the hoarding is up. If you pass, you'll see some container offices. And we should have a little sud-turning ceremony sometime soon to just announce that the waterfront have actually started. The site offices will be occupied by Coastal Dynamics and Van Org at this time. Sometime next week, we just got temporary power. I think Nigam will have to help me with that to get some electricity there. We're using some lighting towers at this point. The other project is the Plaza San Carlos, which we spoke about earlier. Trinidad Government Railway Building, Rodriguez Building, Torp's Garage, and I think we've included the Black Cat Hotel. These are all historic sites and needs to be restored as much as possible. We have some Cubans who have done work at the Red House, Whitehall, and President's House that are returning to give us an assessment. The National Trust is obviously, you need to engage them to even touch those buildings. So they are on the ground right now doing their assessment to tell me if the structures are good, if they're structurally solid. I think the railway station, there was question that it may fall down, but we want to try to restore that structurally and keep the walls and just put a roof over it and restore it. So those are 4 small projects that you should start to see some activity sometime soon. This is the old train station here. I think this is Torp's garage here, and of course lower down would be Rodriguez building. This is the 1.8 hectares of land right now, and the old jetty. This is where customs is operating from. So we're going to be reclaiming all here. This entire area here would be reclaimed and added to this portion here. We are doing some geotechnical study on this because, of course, my good friend Sadiq Bash would have done this, and we can't find any paperwork for it anywhere. Everything was shredded. True UNC style. So we don't even know what kind of sand it have there. So we're going to find that out. All we know, it costs $200 million. That's about all we could find. Where the money gone. Faris will be tracing that money sometime. Lady Hills, the dual carriageway and the boardwalk. This is the road infrastructure starting from Mr. Derek Smith property there, all the way down to the waterfront that you have this gridlock of traffic, people trying to come from the wharf to Gulf City. There's a long back up there. We're trying to, this road network is going to eradicate that. And this is already approved by Cabinet, and we have a small amount of money to start. So basically, this is a roundabout that is going to be put right here by Hatters, where you would have seen the Ministry of Works garage. This road is going to filter onto the Rienzi curtain. It will veer right and bring you right to the Route Avenue traffic light that you can now turn right and exit onto the Rienzi curtain highway. So therefore, if you're coming from the wharf or from the waterfront and you want to get to, say, Skinner Park, you don't need to go all the way down here. You can just make a right, left here, and exit onto the Route Avenue and onto the Rienzi curtain highway. This is going to be a 4-lane from the reclaim site all the way down to Todd Street intersection opposite Sapper. The designs have already been done, the surveys. Derek, you may have to buy a piece of your property. But no, we're not going to take your property. We're going to actually take a part of the Rienzi curtain and create 2 more lanes there because there's enough space for it. What's not in this slide is a walkover at Mbakade. Just go back here for a little bit to show you just a little bit more on the road network. Okay, so there's going to be a feeder road. So this here is where you see that mixed-use development where PTSC now resides. This brown spot here. This is where a car park is going to go for Southwest Regional Health Authority. At the back of this facility, there's Rushwood Street coming down from in the back, obviously to a dead end. We are going to link this road back on a horseshoe back to the Rienzi curtain, so that those persons at the back of the residents at the back of mixed use can actually exit onto Rushwood Street and link to the Rienzi curtain, or they can connect to the waterfront. Yeah, it sounds a little bit much, but a lot of thought went into it. All right? Faris will take the questions on these things. I'm just here to give you the facts. Go back. Do you want to have a question? Okay. Right. So this is basically what this 4-lane highway, this is $143 million approved by Cabinet, and work have started, the designs have been done, and you should see this part here, going to be done sometime in August, somewhere on the 20th of August, the roundabout will start. We've acquired the property of the government, I should say, the garage, and of course, this site here that was supposed to have been the fire station is now going to be the HTC development. So that's easy, no fuss at all, and the 4-lane is going to start all the way up to here, where we just have 2 issues with TNTech and a utilities corridor to run straight up to the waterfront so that all hotels and everybody would use one electricity underground corridor and one WASA underground corridor. Of course, water and electricity doesn't mix, so we have to put one on either side, 6 feet wide underground. WASA on one side, TNTech on the other side, all underground. Good. Let's move on. Currently, the coastal wall is what is critical. Pure is currently handling the coastal wall. A design is supposed to be ready by end of the year. That one is taking a little long, but this wall is going to take us right up from Hatters all the way up to the reclaimed site. And we are proposing to go just about 12 feet into the coast. So we open up that corridor for WASA and TNTech. We need more space, so we are just going to take that space in the ocean to give the 6 feet on either side, yeah? Plus the 4 lanes. So that all worked out already. Plans have been drawn, and out of the 146 million, we only got 20-something. But we'll get some more to start the work. The relocation of the squatters, that has been put on hold because there's no need for that right now. The next big project, of course, you heard the mayor mention it before, is the upgrade of the Skinner Park, and that has been awarded to York Structures. And we are supposed to turn this on sometime soon. I think we had it 27, but that's also Dr. Rowley's Emancipation Day. Although you may just say turn this on nonetheless, but because your custom get it in trouble. But yeah, but we can't put it off anymore. But we need to start this project ASAP. What's going to take place at Skinner Park? Of course, they're going to do the cycle track over in a modern way in conjunction with the Federation in Trinidad, the Cycling Federation. There are new materials to be used on it, so we are in consultation with them. The surface and the drainage, of course, of the current field is going to be dealt with. And of course, the upgrade of the pavilion. That's the major part of phase 1 of this project. It's going to be 4 stories high. Basically, giving the mayor a proper mayor's box and conference facility up here, all air conditioned, and a couple corporate boxes so that the facility can be a bit self-sufficient. It can pay for some of the maintenance of it. And again, the thinking behind this, the MP thought we need to have a facility in San Fernando that can actually host an international event. And of course, that is what we want this facility to actually represent, a landmark. It is a landmark facility in San Fernando, and it should remain a landmark. So we are coming very close to Brian Lara, kind of. It could probably surpass the Brian Lara because this is multifaceted, and we are doing several things with this cycling. We want to do an indoor basketball, netball, and all of those things inside of there. That's phase 1 is just going to be the resheeting. 6,000 seats, 3,000 covered, 3,000 on concrete bleachers, corporate boxes, washroom, gym, and all of that on the basement, lockers at the basement of this structure. And of course, new lighting towers and a digital screen. That's in phase 1. All right, phase 2. Well, this is the MP's idea that he really nagged me about this one, and we got some concepts done. And basically, concept 1, option 1, if you have an event facility like that, you need parking, and therefore Skinner Park does not have parking. People say parking supper, but suppose they're having an event there too, what's going to take place? So option one, MP's idea was to go underground, one level down at the second class ground and return the top surface to its original space where persons can actually be playing football and the car park is below. That is workable. It's been done before in other parts of the world. The cycling and the riding and the walking track, everything remains intact. We're planning to go underground. As you enter 3rd Street, you just excavate and you will just be driving downwards. Below the surface, you will not even know that that is under there. Everything on top remains the same. The trouble with this one, it's a bit expensive, but I don't think we would have gone out to enough persons to get prices to bring this down. So that work has to be done still. This is $100 and something million that the crazy Chinese estimated to cost. But I am certain that we, well, NLBA, but I'm certain that we could get that down because it's really just a steel structure, one level down, and we just want to try to fit about 520 cars. And of course, the fill from here, the MP's idea was to use that to do the backfilling on the waterfront. So whatever is excavated here would be just transported lower down the road at the waterfront. So that's option one, most expensive, but most practical at this point in time. But we don't have practical money right now, so we have to look at option two. Option two was a smaller version, not utilizing the whole footprint. I think these trees here, we have no choice but to preserve these trees. So we have this as restrictors because we can't cut them down. So this is a slimmed down version of it. What we had proposed to do too is on the side here, there's been a lot of complaints by ESOM Jan, Unipet about the food operation at the crossing, that sometimes the traffic is so bad that his customers cannot come into the gas station or even exit. And I have experienced it myself. So it needs to be regulated or put some kind of traffic management in there. However, we propose to put vending, permanent vending bots along this side here with parking, of course, in the car park here so that you don't have that problem. Of course, here would come with washroom facilities and all of that. It's a proposal. It's not written in stone, but it's a way of organizing the street food business and while you don't inconvenience people. So, and it could be a alignment spot. Nothing is going to bother the operation of the second class ground. The walk track remains there. The football, everything remains there. Just the car park is underground. But that's option two. Option three is for small money, because that's what we have now, is to just utilize half of the field, a little less than half, with a 3-level or tri-level car park. And of course, that's going to look ugly. You're just going to see a big structure there. I think it's going to be 540 cars. And of course, you'll have enough room to continue some sports, but just about a third of this space. And that is where we have money for that. But if we want to do the other one, we'll have to look for some kind of funding, which is not impossible. So when I spoke to Mr. Garcia about it this morning, he said, you know, you'll have to pay. So the car park has to be a paying car park, so you can generate some revenue to pay back itself. So if you get the Chinese to say, design, build, operate for X amount of years, hand over, like a bolt. So that's an option that we can explore, but it's a doable option. So those are the three that Faris and I have to flesh out a little more before he takes it to cabinet for approval. But definitely, parking for Skinner Park is a must. You have to get that. And simultaneously while we're doing the upgrade. So this has to happen soon. We have to get a decision on this so we can start this phase 2. All right. Currently, this is another project that the MP have been really working hard at. and we are very close to actually coming to a decision and a proponent with this one. So those who would have remembered the teaching hospital, what it was really intended to be, before they convert it into a hospital of some sort, it was supposed to be all the government agencies operating out of there with adequate parking so that we don't inconvenience the Burgesses by having to take, I think when we did this analysis, it was 6 taxis or 7 taxis if you had to do stamp duty, if you had to do the amount of taxis you had to take just to get to the offices. So the idea was to bring everything under one roof, which was Mr. Manning's idea. And of course, that was shelved. So Faris saw it fit to bring that idea back. And fortunately, the property across the road, owned by the Anglican Church offered it for us to do a joint venture. So we're going to do a joint venture with the Anglican Church. We've got some commitments already. The MP did a whole lot of work in terms of gathering all the rent that we pay in San Fernando that came up to $9 million, and he has gotten the government to commit that $9 million to this facility. So therefore, that will be the revenue to pay itself back. And that took a hell of a long time, because at that time, his good friend Randall was the Minister of Public Administration, and he doesn't seem to work the fastest. But anyway, it got done, and we are here now. We've also gotten commitments from FCB Bank and Unit Trust that they're going to be bringing a branch to this facility. The Unit Trust owns that property at the bottom of High Street opposite Citibank. They're going to sell that property and they're going to relocate to this facility in a bigger, of course, more spacious and fancier facility. So those who are interested in property, Derek, check them. Basically, this is going to be a 14-story building. It's still in design stages. We're having some special requests by the banks for safety and all of that. They don't want people above them, and a little fussy. But it's going to be residential, commercial, all the government buildings. At the top floor is going to be 3-bedroom penthouses that are going to go for some pricey money. Underground is going to have a parking facility of 480 cars. We're going to excavate downwards and have 2 parking levels. One must be for the church, and the other is for the public. The church is going to have the road level property tenants. They're going to take 2 floors of the property, which is the rental from that goes directly to the church. That's their payback for 99 years. And of course, the land remains with them. And of course, when they have mass, they want to be able for their parishioners to park and go to church. So a bridge would be connecting to the church from this car park. All the government agencies would be relocated here, along with residents. And of course, an area to have functions, open air, top deck sort of thing. All right. This is a $560 million project. Financed through Unit Trust. Of course, they've pledged some, and the church pledged. I don't know where they're going to get it. They're going to pass around a hat, but they're going to raise $200 million. And we are going to raise the rest through a loan that we're going to tender out shortly. So this is out for tender, and we'll be closing, I think, sometime in 6 weeks' time. So that's something to look forward to. The hospital car park, of course, this is not what it's going to look like, but it's really going to be 4 stories, starting from the top of the hospital, coming right down to the bottom where the sawmill used to be. This project was at implementation stages and ran into some difficulties. The MP is currently working to bring it back on the drawing board and have it executed, because Southwest have been clamoring. Of course, I have a representative here. Of course, you all didn't want to pay, but we have forced you all to pay. You have to pay for one of the floors, because the car park is going to be owned by Udicott, and we have to get revenue from it in order to maintain it. Electronic bridge is supposed to connect you to the waterfront, which is going to be installed later on, but they're going to be accommodation for it and air-conditioned electronic walkway that you get in the airports to walk across and come downwards. Okay, that's the car park, SWRHA. This should actually be getting going soon because all the designs and groundwork would have been done with this already. So it's just a matter of dusting off that and bringing it back to the table. And we got this current board to agree to pay for one level. So that's a big step. Okay, so that basically is the work some of the work going on at the waterfront. You give me back HDC so I can wrap up, just give Faris a little idea so when he's tying it all together, he know what we've done before. And so the MP told me a story about when he was moving out of South Key, he literally had to buy food himself for the army. Otherwise they would get nothing done. That's how he was able to move out of South Key, that building. So that's basically what your representative have to do and constantly nag and stuff to get things actually done. So when you see these things happening, trust me, there was a lot of work before just to get it to this point. So just for the MP's sake, there were 3 projects that HEC have been involved in for San Fernando West, East, and our neighboring Pointe-a-Pierre. It's Carlton Lane, which I told you before was a PPP, and supposed to have been financed by Republic Bank. That is now back on the cards. The Lady Hills, which is connecting to the waterfront, and of course Roy Joseph, that piece of property just at the back of Faith Center. So again, just to recap, this has already gotten town and country approval. A lot of background work would have been done on Carlton Lane. We would have displaced some persons to as far as Current Hills. So they should look forward to be returned soon. It's 120 units, 6 stories high, 6 buildings, something like that, in that vicinity of Carlton Lane. 2 bedrooms and 3 bedroom condos, not exceeding $750 for the 2 bedroom and not exceeding $900 for the 3 bedroom. That is basically the cap that we've been working with to keep the prices down. The property is prime property, middle of San Fernando. That should yield 68 families in there. 68 by, let's hope people start having more children, so 68 by 4. Mother, father, 2 children minimum. That's quite a bit of people to bring back into the city. And according to the MP, he always says the city is dying, but you need to bring people to the city. When you bring people to the city, people require services, and therefore businesses survive when there's people. So this is to bring those people back to the city. And that's why on all of our construction sites, we try to include residential property in it. Have people live right upstairs so that people would need to go to the laundry, go to the grocery store, and keep the business ticking over, because everybody have to live. Carlton Lane, this is the area here from a Google Map shot. This is Leoto Street coming down here. This is a long stretch coming down Carlton Lane, and opposite this little area here, the basketball court is here. So really just off Cipero Street. This is Cipero Street here. Really a prime piece of real estate here. Any private developer would love to get his hands on that. And make mass with that. But that is going to go to the HTC. It is in the HTC's hands already. I understand a design has been done, and an award of a contract is expected pretty soon on this one. Again, 3 bedrooms, 50 to 60 apartments, maximum 68 parking and all the amenities, PlayStation, playground for children and all of that. All of that is inside of there. The other one is Lady Hills. This is down opposite Hatters, where the Ministry of Works garage is currently at. Government would have acquired those properties all the way up to Rienzi Curtin. I think the only one we didn't get was Ivan Tulsi, but we would hope to chase him out pretty soon. But that's the only property we could not purchase because he wouldn't budge. But we'll be checking him every so often so that road network and all those, everything could be meshed into the waterfront. But he's smart. He's probably waiting for the waterfront to ask for a pretty high price, which he probably will get. That's a prime piece of real estate. There, you'll have 130 apartments. This was awarded to the Chinese, and they are going to be financing this 100%. This takes you all the way up to the...
So people could hear.
The first question was if they were vending available in Cites in the park. Yes, there's going to be more concessions in the Skinner Park, not vending and such. Vending will be outside. And that was the reason why, and again, remember we're trying to create a facility that's a world-class facility. So the culture will have to change a little bit. The concession goes with the structure, just below at the back of the seating area there. A lot of concession booths, a bar, food, and you name it. So you'll have to go and apply for it in an orderly manner and get one done. Get one for yourself also. Of course, if you meet the criteria.
Mike is coming.
Yes?
Mike is coming. No.
Yes. Just to add to the Skinner Park, it appears though the stand, what you all going to be building, it looks like the whole thing would not be covered.
Would there be any?
Set of stands around.
That'll be the last one. And the MP is going to tie this together, and then we'll do some more questions after. Yes, the design of Skinner Park, it will be fully covered, but there will be, of course, a wind issue and the breeze blowing in the rain when it rains. That's an issue throughout. Unless you give it a finish like that, which is not acceptable. Around there are going to be two other bleachers, yeah, but concrete bleachers, covered as well. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to show you an indoor facility, which is phase 3 for basketball. We are looking to relocate the home for netball at another facility somewhere else, and some public tennis courts. There's a shortage of tennis courts in lawn tennis courts. So we have some ideas and some to work with the mayor to get some of those parks that are not being utilized too much to convert into some public courts. Tennis courts, and of course the netball, we've identified a spot at the back of Westwood Street that looks like a nice venue to put a netball headquarters. Yeah? You know that big park at the back coming down Westwood Street onto Cipero? You don't know that? Behind the car company. Jennifer, you don't know the constituency? No, well, you see again, yeah, I will let the MP deal with that. Okay, so thank you very much.
First, I want to thank Mr. Bipod for a very comprehensive insight on what San Fernando will look like in the next 3 to 5 years. So, especially young persons, this is your opportunity because you will really, really benefit from this. So at this point, let me just take the opportunity to introduce you to probably the hardest working member of Parliament in Trinidad and Tobago. And may I say, probably the most popular member of Parliament, our member of Parliament, the Honorable Faris Al Rawi, and Attorney General.
Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Mayor, I stand here in your hall. No better place than Skiffle Bunch. It is the steel orchestra of choice for Trinidad and Tobago. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, that I ran late. The Prime Minister called me for an emergency meeting, and I had to get back up to see him to sort out some stuff. Being your Attorney General is not an easy job because national security resides in our office. The running of Trinidad and Tobago in every sense of the word resides in our office. Birth, death, and everything in between happens in the AG's office. I say that to start off tonight because I am an elected member of Parliament. I didn't arrive into government without being elected. And it's the first time in 26 years that we've had an elected member of Parliament serve as Attorney General. I'll tell you this, Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj served as an elected Attorney General in a safe seat. Let me repeat. Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj served as an Attorney General in a safe seat. It means that even though you're pulling your ministerial load, and in my case it's 2 ministries, Legal Affairs and Attorney General, you have to service your constituency. So talking tonight to this crowd, and I thank you all for coming out tonight, I want to ask you to carry forward a certain message. We have lived in San Fernando. Some of us were born in San Fernando and lived elsewhere and came back. Some of us are working in different parts of Trinidad and have roots here. But one thing you are sure about is that San Fernando has grown at a snail's pace. Only a couple people have had a little courage to grow the city. Think about it. What is our waterfront? My mother, when she was in the San Fernando Chamber of Commerce, before it became the Energy Chamber, sat as president there. They had a big consultation and they were doing the waterfront. I said at the last meeting, we had Errol Mahabe, we had Ralph Maraj, Diane Sukaran, Junior Regrello, Sadiq Baksh, Barry Sinanan, Carolyn Sipasad Bechan, and me. And in all of those MPs, I want to ask you a question tonight. Of all of those MPs, have you ever witnessed a plan like that you saw on the screen tonight? Ever? Now I'll be a little boastful tonight, as I was the last time I addressed this. Every inch of what you see on that screen has come from your MP. Let me tell you why, and let me tell you how. One of my strengths as an individual, because we all have strengths as individuals, we all have weaknesses. But one of my strengths is to strategize and operationalize. And the operationalization, the getting it done, required us analyzing why has this not been done before? Why? What has stopped the delivery of opportunity? What does this mean? What do we have at Hatters? What is the most prominent thing at Hatters? Anybody? What are we famous for? We call it Hatters now. When I grew up, we call it Labas. True or not? This area here, when I grew up, was called Labas. It eventually, to one side, became Mbakade. But that was the Labas. When you think of Hatters, with the most beautiful beachfront possible in San Fernando, rivaled only by Bayshore and Marabella, do you think of putting on your swimming trunks, going with your family for a lovely evening? Is that what you think of? How many people inside of here have not been on this beachfront here? How many people have not been? Do me a favor and put up your hands. If you have not set foot on that beachfront, put your hands up. You? Jennifer, I don't believe you. Right. This area is a an area with a serious squatting community. It is an area where people live off of the landfill. It is an area where garbage is thrown out of your window, where there are children and families living in difficult circumstances. Not because they want to, but because this area is the forgotten area. When we go up to the wharf, right here, and we start the beginning of the Marabella train line as we go up, who lives there? We have what we call a dichotomy. We have one side of this entire line area, as you approach the seafront, we have squatters. What do we have living right next to the squatters? Right at Marabella, what do we have? Squatters on the train line side and houses on the roadside. So San Fernando developed in a very unusual way. When you're driving through Vista Bella and you're coming onto Hubert Rand Street, you ever notice that the original homes all look onto the roadway? Every gallery is on the roadside. When you go and you look at a movie and you watch houses that are built next to the seafront, what do you see? They're all looking at what? The road or the sea? But in San Fernando, our view is the road, not the seafront. In our city, all of this area here is taken exclusively for squatting communities. So we in San Fernando, look at this area here. This is Hatters. Look at where this pointer goes. All of this belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It is state land. What do we have here? What do we have here? Let's start with here. This area here, from here down to here, you know how much land that is? That is 14 acres of land. And what are we in San Fernando doing? What have all of your MPs back to back been watching? A PTSD garage, pumping oil into the water, watching the Labas grow bigger and bigger until it was stopped a while ago, watching Mbakadere forgotten, watching Ramsaran Street forgotten, watching the circular forgotten, watching more and more squatters come and go as they were relocated twice already, and nobody could develop this waterfront because people were waiting for perfection. When you have a perfect waterfront plan, when you have all the pieces together, then and only then will the waterfront start. So what we did on this occasion is to say, just start. The motto was, just start. Just start every project individually that you can. You saw the road network. If you build a road, people are going to drive. If it's an easy traffic flow, they're going to stay and circulate. How much common sense did it take, ladies and gentlemen, for us to take Rushworth Street, which stops here, and just connect it? 50 feet of land to connect Rushworth Street to the waterfront. Do I need a waterfront plan to do that? No. I need the Ministry of Works and Transport in their PURE program we should hire him as the mic man for the meeting. We needed the Ministry of Works and Transport to just do the road. Do we need a waterfront design to build a seawall? The wall is falling. Since I was a scout swimming there every Friday, I could tell you the wall crumbled. Building the seawall, just like the frontage by the Hyatt Hotel looks like, a wall allows you to expand the road into the sea. You expand the road into the sea, and from this wall, if you go to Shagaramas and you look at that decking facility, you don't need a waterfront project to do that decking facility. You did not need a waterfront perfected to put down a fishing facility there. What happens when you put a fishing facility there? Crime has less chance of success because, by the way, the police marine division will be right there. And if you have the police right here, it means the likelihood of drugs and guns and ammunition coming becomes less and less. And if you move the PTSC garage and you take it opposite C3 by the OAS abandoned site, and you take the derelict buses and the tank facilities and you move it there, you get 14 acres of land. And what do? You take that land and you give it to UDCOT. And you get UDCOT to go and get proposals to build. And UDCOT steps out and gets public-private partnership, which has been done already. And then what do? You come down here to this site here, you vest that land in the HDC, and it's not 130 homes, it's 231 homes. And you give UDCOT a piece of the pie, and you give HDC that other piece of the pie. But you don't need, and you did not need to wait for a perfect waterfront plan. And what do? You go up here, you get to the plaza right here, you knock down what you know you need to knock down, which is the old derelict buildings there. You preserve the useful antique buildings, and you create a commercial center there, but you didn't need the waterfront team to do that. You give it to the office of the Prime Minister, and you let the same people that restore in White House now and the Red House now come and restore that. And that's being done as we speak. But here, where NIDCO does the jetty, here where UDCOT takes this piece of land by the bus yard, here where HDC does its development, how much common sense did it take to say, let's do a roundabout and put the roundabout to allow you to not get caught by the link road or by the traffic light by Kenson or by Todd Street intersection? Right now, NIGAM, who does a lot of FET promotion, a lot of people that see the occupation and use, every FET that happens now is where? Brian Lara. How long was Brian Lara rotting for? Brian Lara now is the premier stadium in Trinidad and Tobago, and people do what? They drive out of San Fernando, they go to Brian Lara, they have their carnival fete, they have their events. So what was the next common sense thing to do? Not Skinner Park? How long has Skinner Park looked the way it does? When you go to Skinner Park for semis, where you parking? On the grass? After you leave the grass, what happened to the grass? Who in their right mind playing football in a serious way on that grass? So ladies and gentlemen, it made sense to develop Skinner Park, but the reason why I was pushing for the second stage of Skinner Park is I'm telling my colleagues, where are you going to park? But if I waited for the second stage to go with the first stage, what would happen? Another MP come and gone and no project start. So I said, you know what? We'll take phase one now. Phase 1 has been awarded. Phase 1 is out. Skinner Park returns to a glorious state because that is our equivalent of the savannah. But what more is common sense? Isn't our Arapita Avenue cross-crossing? Isn't cross-crossing at night with the food vendors our equivalent of Arapita Avenue? So what we said, take the stage 2, and I said, come up with any design you can. 1, 2, 3. We will choose one, and we will move the vending facilities into the secondary grounds. Why? Because you'll have parking, you'll have lighting, you'll have security, and you will have food. But if we wait on perfection, if we wait on every bit of consultation that you're supposed to have, what will happen? You will get the version of the waterfront that you have here. That my good friend Navi Muradali, to his credit, pushed, but nobody on that waterfront, at least nobody who want to bunks up in the night at that waterfront. So the idea, ladies and gentlemen, was to just start. Skinner Park, awarded. PTSC garage, 65% removed. Award for the PTSC land, ready. NIDCO, you heard it tonight, to do the jetty, awarded. Cubans on the ground doing the restoration. Reclamation at the 3.8 hectare site here, already started. Chancery Lane Anglican Church, already ready to go, because it was easy and commonsensical to say, you need to build that building. What do you need from the government? Their question to us was how they're going to pay for it. Our answer to that was, we're going to rent your floors. What happens when you rent the floors? They get money so that they can pay their mortgage. They take in the risk. They take in the building construction. Their bank finances it. They get a bank to come in and occupy a floor. They rent 2 of their floors. We rent the rest of their floors. But what do we get when we rent the floors? We're giving up rentals all over San Fernando. Stamp duty here, registrar general here, immigration passport office here. Sounding confusing? We put it in one location, and in that one location, you get to come and go. But ladies and gentlemen, we weren't stupid. That is why at the San Fernando General Hospital area, right here where you have your water taxi, right here where you're going to have your housing, right here where you have fishing, right here where you have entertainment, and across the road where you have your services and facilities. And by the way, in case you didn't know, San Fernando General is the largest hospital we're running in the country. Where are you parking? Where are you parking for all of that? Which is why the cabinet note for the parking facility has been prepared, and we are ready to run with the parking. Because when you go here and you're taking your water taxi in the morning, you notice that big car park on the road? You don't think we could do better with that car parking land? Shouldn't we move that car parking facility to where the hospital facility is? Park the water taxi cars, park the hospital cars in the evening. Instead of sliding in the mud, you're parking in the dry. Park the residential facilities and allow the Anglican Church to have a car park. You walk through the hospital ground like you do anywhere else in the world, and you access government services. Doesn't that now add you closer to the mayor's office, to the promenade? While you are visiting the government offices, you're not now tempted to take a tour on the promenade and go and have something to eat or something to drink or look at your historical buildings? Beginning to make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Right. But where are you living? What is the biggest concern in this city, apart from crime, which I'll come to in a moment? It's housing. We have people living in cockroach-infested homes, paying $3,000 and $4,000 a month, and every week in my constituency office, the biggest demand, 20, 40, 80 people arrive. They want somewhere to live. They say, I don't want it for free. I'll pay for it. Give me a mortgage to pay. But where is the housing stock? That is why we awarded here 231 apartments. That is why housing will come here. We will begin to clear the way for more housing come down the line, but these are 2 guaranteed housing projects. That is why we went, if you come to Prince of Wales Street, if you come to Roy J, finish phase 3. Carlton Lane, right close to us here, finish Carlton Lane. On the basketball courts at Mbaka there, finish some more housing. Return housing to San Fernando. Otherwise, our city continues to die. And whilst we have businessmen who have done yeoman service for San Fernando, by Derek, you could go and listen to him singing on a microphone on a Friday night. Had no idea the man could sing that well, should have given up his career that he's so good at, he could easily have sung, but there's some businessmen that put their money where their mouth is and invest in our city. We had South Park built. We had C3 built. If you put down infrastructure, business arrives. But where has the government's infrastructure in San Fernando been after Mr. Manning died? We had Sapa, we had the Chancery Lane, and that's it. We had nothing else in this city, and prior to that, we had nothing else in this city apart from sporadic private sector development. So my vision as an MP for this city has been to just start. Because what is the other issue after housing? Unemployment. Walk up the coffee, walk down this road, cross out of the main road and walk into the city where people live and people are unemployed. They are frustrated. They have been unemployed for a long time. What do construction projects bring? Jobs. What does road building bring? Jobs. What does government investment in infrastructure bring? It creates an environment for investment because a restaurant hires people, because a laundry hires people, a grocery hires people. This kind of development in a strategic way brings investment and prosperity for San Fernando. So what did we do, ladies and gentlemen? In these areas with the housing and developments, we built into the contracts that the developing contractors must hire 40% of their subcontractors and employees from San Fernando. What have we done? We have opened registration centers at the City Corporation, at San Fernando East MP's office, and San Fernando West MP's office, where we take a register of skills, of companies, of services, so that we can make sure we make recommendations for people to be hired as a term and condition of their contract. But I want to ask you this. Knowing that this is the first time that you are hearing of this kind of vision, what are we going to do about it? We did not come before to tell you, coulda, shoulda. Tonight we're telling you we awarded. Tonight we're telling you Pure is ready to roll. It will start. Because I'm not going to come as an MP and Mama Guy, anybody here with another 40-year vision of the waterfront. The projects have been cleared, the cabinet has backed them, the notes have been granted, the contracts have been awarded or are nearly finished in award. It means you must see action. You must see dust on the ground, boots on the ground, employment opportunities. There are other pockets of development that we're working on, particularly in our very depressed communities. We're doing housing construction for the first time in the history of the Marabella train line. Let me repeat that. For the first time in the history of the Marabella train line, we will have put down 30 homes. 28. We have another 2 to come. We have another 25 to come. Because we cannot keep living in San Fernando and having blind spots. I don't see the Marabella train line. I don't see Hatters. I don't see the wharf. I don't see hidden poverty. If we stop looking at hidden poverty, we're in trouble. That's where crime is born. That's where disease happens. That's where murder can happen. And we as a citizen group have to pay attention to everybody. So ladies and gentlemen, this is important for all of us. I can only speak to so many people at one time. It is important that the rest of us are able to carry what they see by way of recommendation. We'll make it easier as we have been refining what we are doing and adding week by week as a project comes on. We'll be able to give a status update. We'll prepare a small package so that you can speak to it with information and certainty. Just let me touch the issue of crime. You think gangs and contractors is new news? Do you think the Commissioner of Police spoke about that by mistake? Do you think the government is not aware of that? We will be revealing our plans and strategies which started a long time ago on that particular area. But I raise this issue of crime because the government will not tolerate crime in our contracts. Because we're talking about contracts right now. Last week, we were in the community center on St. Vincent Street, started by our mayor when he was the minister in charge of that ministry. Finished under me. And one thing we were able to do is to tell the people who wanted to gangster the project, think again. Because I can assure you that one of my responsibilities, which I take very seriously and put into effect, is to eradicate that scourge from Trinidad and Tobago. I can't arrest nobody. I'm not a policeman, but I could do a whole lot more that causes trouble. By creating the right structures, by creating the right environment, and we are going to be speaking about that in live form in the weeks and days as we move ahead. So pay attention to that, but carry the information. There will be no gangsterism in our 40% of contracts. You want to work legitimately, you want to work a full day, you're welcome. You cannot come with a price from Mars. You cannot come with a price that is so unrealistic that you'd have to be corrupt to give that price. There will be job training and skills development on the site. But you have to earn your way there. That's the simple truth about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of opportunity ahead of us. We could not do this before because we did not have the money. We could not do this before because there was no clear plan by my predecessors. This plan has come from your government, your MP being the advocate for this. This plan has come by way of our recommendation from San Fernando West, my recommendation as MP to our government to get the job done. PNM people, or Trinidadians in general, are very good at being very careful in their deliberations. Most people will say, in a PNM setting, I like you, but next time. I ain't really feel nothing this time wrong, I ain't feel the love. So next time, if you make the mistake, most respectfully, of bringing back the most corrupted bunch of people in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, well, then you look for what you want. And you will be right back to the solitude and hunger and bitterness that the UNC had you in. Because I know that none of them ever came and showed you what we showed you tonight. I am confident of that. But we can't do this by ourselves. Don't judge me by the pictures on the screen. Come and see the dust for yourself and the boots on the ground for yourself, because you will see it. But have a connective vision as to what is coming. I'm asking for faith, and I'm asking for support for something that is important to all of us. I'll end at that point and instead now ask for your questions or your suggestions or your input, because tonight we want to have a bit of a conversation. The microphone is available. I'll switch to that one and we'll take your questions.
After seeing all what you, actually I realized that, remember you named all the past ones before you, and sitting down there I realized you have a vision. I don't think they had that vision. So for everything to happen there, I applaud you for that vision. And I know it wouldn't take this term, so I hope you'll do it next term. Next 5 years, from 2020, for the next 5 years, I hope it will be accomplished and not wait for the next 2030. Okay, it's a great vision for San Fernando, and I really applaud you, and I really applaud your vision as our representative for San Fernando West. Is West? Our representative for San Fernando West.
Thank you very much. If you're all satisfied and your disciples turn to the cause, we could break and go now, So just saying that.
Hi, good evening. One thing I must say that I'm quite happy about is the local content part of it that you looked at with regards to getting local personnel. I mean, you're having local contractors, persons from within the area, and that's going to help build and uplift contractors and personnel, so they actually feel that they're part of this dream, and not just a dream, the vision, and the mission in achieving what they should at this point and developing them as well. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you. Mr. Joseph.
Pleasant good night to everybody. What I like to talk about is like employment and underemployment, also about sustainable employment, because construction is one thing, right? But when the construction done, what will happen? So I hear you talk about the development for ships, small ships for tourists, but why propose maybe if I could develop it for big ships, because tourist arrival is a very large thing in the Caribbean, and San Fernando being a hub for pan could have a potential to develop within the tourism sector.
You are totally right. So, ladies and gentlemen, where is the calmest water in Trinidad and Tobago you have ever seen? Not right here? Right. Where do you see hurricanes happening in the Caribbean? Not everywhere else? I'm knocking on wood. There is a massive industry in marina type facilities and ship chandlery, supplies, repairs, etc. San Fernando has the workforce and skill force and knowledge to most certainly take advantage of that. If you build the field, they will come and play. If you build the land reclamation, and as you go out and you put the fingers and the jetties out, you're going to get shipping business. You will see on the north coast, if you're looking into the Gulf of Paria, a massive number of rigs that are now parked in Trinidad and Tobago. It's called cold stacking. They cold stack the rigs. Those rigs are multi-billion-dollar rigs. They move from location to location around the world. They're jack-up rigs. They drop their ground, and they drill for oil. A whole set of them park up in Trinidad and Tobago waters. You know why? They're safe. It's the same thing. Take notice of something else that we're doing. You noticed in the papers there was a big Guyanese investment conference. You notice that Venezuela is 7 miles next door. You notice we have a good relationship with our neighbors, Barbados, Guyana, Venezuela, and Suriname. You know why I'm calling these 4 countries? Who has the largest oil and gas reserves on the planet? Venezuela. Who has rocks and geography just like Venezuela? Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname, and just to the north of us, Barbados. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, it's not by mistake that the shipbuilding yard is down south in Trinidad. You no longer explore for oil by building a pipeline to bring it onshore. Guyana just found 500 billion barrels of oil with a B. You know what happens to their oil? They take a big tanker, they bring it, they park it right over the oil, they produce from the ground onto the ship, and from the ship, it goes out. Nothing comes on board again. So the number of ships that are coming to the region are now exponentially coordinated towards Trinidad and Tobago. Where is our waterfront? Looking right at them. You understand? If we invest in this area, knowing what is coming, forming the relationships we have, now you're beginning to see the plan. Our job in the next 18 months, 15 months, whatever it is to connect these dots. We could not speak too early because there's not enough to be said that strategy is not strategy if everybody knows it. There were many saboteurs who would want to end this relationship. You notice that the UNC feels empowered every time there's a murder? Or when there's a hint of unrest? You see them supporting legislation in the parliament? No. Because for them, chaos is victory. We have to be sustainable in how we think. So when Codin asked the question a little while ago about jobs and sustainable jobs, a very intelligent young man who, by the way, looking for a job at times, qualified, capable, represents his community, hardworking. He is an example of who San Fernando needs to look after. His family members, neighbors, right here along Carib Street, right here along Cipero Street, the coffee, wherever you want to go, we have too much unemployment or underemployment. So we will have temporary jobs in construction and skills training, but after that, you're guaranteed to have sustainable jobs, because what was built has to be serviced and has to be worked. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Pleasant good night to each and everyone here. Pleasant good night to the head
Good night,
table.
sir.
From the Embakade constituent, from the Embakade area. I do believe this is the first time, we speaking or coming to speak concerning certain things that are taking place, right? So far, the vision, yes, it looks pretty 100. Being the most hard-working MP, I'd give you a little hand concerning that, right? Being proactive, we have a little work to do on it, right? We see into the top level, things are being done, but plenty of times the bottom level being left out, all right? As the gentleman now rightfully said, sustainable employment, right? Because right now we have a little plague with 10 days. And I was in the office earlier on today, and I was making that plight over and over again, right? 10 days killing the community and killing the uprising of any youth or anybody in the community, all right? My whole thing about this environment, success and the upliftment of the area is exploitation, all right? We talk about the jack-up rigs, we're talking about the contractors that coming in. Nothing wrong with being a laborer on our side. We must start from somewhere, all right? Nothing wrong with youths being miserable or misbehaving at some point in time of their life. It's up to us to give them an avenue to sway from that, all right? And right about now, the avenue's real few. Concerning the exploitation now, we have a lot of foreign contractors coming in. We have a lot of contractors, whether it be local and all, coming in, but the wages that they want to pay, when it is they really check the cost of living, we're spinning top in mud. We're coming back to the same problems that we're facing. Yes, we're working, but after we collect the salary, pay bills, buy grocery, do the basic necessities. I ain't talking about we want to go to a party or we want to buy a shoe or we feel to sip on something. We're talking about the basic necessities, utility bills, sending children to school. We have to come up with a better solution salary-wise in these projects that are about to come. Not because we could wake up right here and go right there to work, mean that, that's good for them, right? We talk about the jack-up rigs, right? We are having too much exploitation in Trinidad and Tobago oil and gas industry. I am a worker in the oil and gas industry, right? And we have to take a little look into the expats that come into the country. Taxation, number one, is a part of the government getting revenue. And I really don't see a plenty in these expats coming into Trinidad and Tobago and exempted from our taxes. But if I leave Trinidad and Tobago and go Canada to work, I have to pay all the taxes. I will leave Trinidad and Tobago and go America to work after you pay all the taxes. I leave Trinidad and Tobago and go Europe to work, I have to pay all the taxes. Why is it that when they come to our country, they are exempted to our taxes and yet still exploit the workers with the wages? When we go to Texas.
Before you go too far, because you've given so much, let me interrupt you just to answer some of what you said, and I'm going to invite you to consider. Because what you've said there is a whole range of very important things. So forgive me for interrupting. Let me just answer 2 or 3 things that I think that are critical to put on the table tonight. We are right now in a situation where we're unemployed, largely. So we're going from 0 wages or being what I call the working poor. A working, but a poor. Because by the time I finish paying bills, I'm in poverty. The key aspect is we are in an economy where we have very little money, so you have to spend smart. 2, we have to keep the costs within reasonable zones. 3, we're not looking at just hiring laborers. It's not to say to Trinidad in San Fernando West, hey, are looking for laborers. No, we're looking for businessmen, contractors who will take subcontracts, painters, scaffolding, welding, fabrication, skills, where you do contracts yourself. You're your own businessman. So we're not looking at only laborers. We're looking at entrepreneurs. The next thing is, what we have to do is to just make sure we get it done. The faster I get it done, the faster people working permanently. I'll give you an example. At the St. Vincent Street Community Center, one big protest reached in my office. Project have to stop. They need the basketball court. So I asked them, I said, well, where am I going to put the site office? Where is the site office going? Inside the building that's being built? No. On the roadway to close off the roadway? No. I said, what's the only land available to put the site office? The basketball court. So you want me to stop the whole construction from finishing? It's sit down for 6 years, rotting with vine. I must keep the basketball court open so you could come 2 hours every other day to take a sweat. You know the people tell me, yeah? You know they tell me, yeah? So I said to them, boss, sorry, we're going to take the site office. They threaten they go shut down, they're coming for me, you can't do that, the boys need this, the boys need that, the contractor get visited, he had to pay money. So I called the police myself and dealt with the situation. Today, the community center open and the basketball court will be reinstalled, the bleachers finished. I'm using that example to say, the faster we get the construction done is the more sustainable the jobs are. You need a chef. You notice people in Trinidad are no longer a cook. You have a chef. See the guy with the nice jacket, the pen in the pocket, and you don't call him cook again, you know. You call him chef. Everybody now knows what a sous chef is, the assistant to the chef. People take pride in culinary arts now. It's a high-paying job. You want a chef. The standards have risen. Let me ask you something, because you correctly referred to a few things. High-performance ideas, you gave me good marks for, right? Representation. If I were to have done it the other way, I'd be the same as every single other MP that passed through here. Lineman on the block, shaking people's hand, and leaving the office having given nothing. To pass those projects required somebody to do the financing arrangements. Guess which office does that? The Office of the Attorney General. It required somebody to approve the notes to make sure that the cost of construction was right, that the environmental clearance certificate was done, because you have a fella, you know there are people in Trinidad and Tobago go and stop project if you don't have your permits. Because everybody all of a sudden want to stop everything and start nothing. So my strategy was to be able to come here and tell you what can be done. And the way that I chose to distinguish myself is to say, we've never had this before. We have never had the ability to roll out projects in a sustainable, connected, make sense kind of way. And it could only have happened if your MP had a strategic plan to make it happen. You came to a very important point. Oil and gas, taxation. For the record, they pay taxes. The question is how much you're getting. Not only on taxes, but your royalty. Because your royalty is not a tax in that sense, you know, on your wages. Who here in Trinidad and Tobago knows out of every $100 that you get for a barrel of oil, what Trinidad and Tobago's cut of that is? Do you know? Hazard a guess for me. If we're in the oil and gas industry for over 100 years now, how much do you think, if a barrel of oil sells for $100, how much do you think Trinidad and Tobago gets out of that? You're in the industry, so give me a guess. Give me a guess. If you were selling a barrel of oil for $100 as the owner of the barrel, what would you say your percentage should be?
As the owner,
Yeah.
right, at that barrel of oil, my percentage should be
80%. Right. You know how much we get? 53 cents to 58 cents. Trinidad and Tobago, out of $100, gets 53 to 58 cents. You hear what I'm telling you? This might be news tonight. We have said this 100 times already in Trinidad. We had something called the Energy Spotlight. We brought in Potens and Partners, White and Case, the best in the world. We put it up on a big screen. We show the whole world how much Trinidad and Tobago gets for their $100. Think anybody was listening? But your Prime Minister found himself in Houston, in The Hague, in London, and he went to the companies and he said, they're not good enough. And we got more. So the first thing we had to do was not tax them, is to decide how much we get in. We did that. And the Prime Minister said that we did that even though we contractually could not demand it. In other words, then, they give away the shop. You are a hard-working, intelligent man, working your years in the industry. And tonight, I gave you a piece of information that you should have known. But nobody in Trinidad could know that. Let me show you something else you should know. Government don't hire and fire people in the public service. True or not true? Who could fire? Who could fire? The Public Service Commission, the Teaching Service Commission, the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. Correct? Who in here could name the head of the Teaching Service Commission? I challenge anybody in here. I'll pay $100 right now. How many teachers they have in Trinidad? More than 10? More than 1,000? More than 2,000? Who in here could name the head of the Teaching Service Commission? Nobody knows. So you don't know who could hire and fire. The problem with our country is that we stop thinking about the correct things. What is my take in oil and gas? How do I get a more efficient teaching service so that children are not growing up like bandits because nobody teaching them? How do I make the public servants do their job because they're responsible to answer for their day's work? Right? That's why I'm going back to the high level. So my philosophy is just start. Start by renegotiating your oil and gas take. And by the way, in case you didn't know, Why do you think we want the revenue authority? It's not to tax poor people in this country, you know, because we said to poor people, we don't want to tax you. We took the minimum ceiling from $5,000 per month, tax-free, to $6,000 a month. So we're telling the working poor, we're not taxing you, but we want the revenue authority so that you could get the money that the oil and gas companies supposed to be paying in taxation. That is called transfer pricing and double taxation abuse. You know how much that equals to every year? The amount of money that we should be getting if we did the taxation right is 16 billion US dollars per year. You want me to repeat that? 16 billion US dollars per year. 130 million TT dollars extra per year from oil and gas alone. We catching we nenen to earn $42 billion in revenue per year. True or not true? We spending 65, we drop it to 55, we drop it to 53, and we earning 42 to 43. I said 130 million, I was wrong, 130 billion TT dollars extra per year in oil and gas alone. You could imagine if we were able to carry out the rest of what we want to do, and we will do it if we have the time, if we could add into the revenue line $140 billion per year, just like that. Who's separating us from that? 3 letters. UNC. You understand? So we could talk exploitation, we could talk underemployment, but we have to hold on to the big things to make the little things happen. You have to have a strategy to make that happen. You have to know the data. You have to know you earning 58 cents out of every $100. You have to know that with a revenue authority, you could get 130 billion TT dollars extra per year from the oil and gas companies, not from the poor people in Trinidad and Tobago. You understand why I've taken the representation the way I must? Because there's only a few people could get that done. I'm one of them as a member of a team. Just one. We have a prime minister that understands that. We have a minister of energy. We have a minister of national security that helps in that area. But God forbid, you all ever hear Kevin Ramnarine talk that? You ever heard the UNC tell you how much money you left behind? But I interrupted you at the point of taxation. Finish the rest.
Thanks again for the little knowledge, especially for the price that we're getting for a barrel of oil, right?
Yeah.
How old Trinidad and Tobago is?
How old?
Yeah.
Geologically or historically?
Well,
You mean from our independence?
From our independence.
Gotcha.
How old we be again?
We're 1962 we were born.
All right, nice. And from 1962 till now, right, that we governing the affairs of our country, right? We had about 3 or 4 oil booms from Eric Williams till now, right? We still shouldn't be in this boat that we're in today. Yet still,
we are.
We are applauding the services that you would like to give us here now, right? When it is, we're talking about money-wise again, right? Prices, barrels, and what it is we get off it, right? as they say, well, all they're doing what is all they're supposed to do to nip it in the bud and make it even better that we benefit more, right? But at the same time, as we nipping it in the bud.
Sorry, I'm not hearing you so well.
As we trying to nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Right? The oil and gas. Right? What it is, how it is again now that we're going to stop. Because we have to stop the shells and the other different oil companies that coming into our country and making this thing hard, right? I don't know what it is, what is your outlook on the union system, right? But as I say in the oil and gas industry, we come from a system which part, especially on Saturdays and Sundays, we come from a system on holidays, which part double time, triple time, and all these things were being paid. We see in companies coming into our country, and all of a sudden, we have no more double time. We have no more time and a half. We work substantial hours. We go extra and beyond on straight time. This is the sort of exploitation that we're speaking about, right? This, as although you say we come from $0 to some dollars, but we just can't really get that stuff down with truth, right? There's some other things that pending on my mind, but I believe I will leave it for next time.
Sure.
Because I alone want to talk, but
Just,
I will compile it and I will get it back
just to
you.
let you know, the Shells and the BGs, well, BPs and other entities are our partners. They have agreed to give us more when they didn't have to because of the Prime Minister's negotiations with them. Because they contractually could have said, no, hard luck, we have a contract, we'll sue you. Thanks to the Prime Minister, that was a change. We're not nipping it in the bud. The train ran away. First thing we had to do is to catch up to the train, get on the train, start to slow it down, start to make sure we go in the right direction. Because that train ran. A fella named Kevin Ramnarayan and Kamla Prasad Bisesa, then make sure the train went in full throttle. And they take everything. So we're not nipping in the bud. Secondly, I know that some of the companies decided, instead of firing people, keeping a fewer number who could work double time and 1.5 time, what they did is they said, we'll keep people employed but we'll work straight time. Because we don't want to send home 100 people or whatever it might be. Let me confess this. I spent a lot of time working in the industrial relations arena. I'll give you an example. I was the lawyer for ArcelorMittal for years. I used to be battling the OWTU. I was the company lawyer, and the union lawyer was a fellow named Stuart Young. And two of us used to be fighting whole day on the issues. I sat down with the Steelworkers Union, together with the company, and told them, open book, say, listen, this company is busting. We have to change the way the unionized environment works. You know what I was told? Boy, you's a little boy. I was here when they lock up the bolt in the plant. This company will stay here forever. What happened to the company? It shut down and man started to bawl and cry, they lose their work. And when they came by me, by that point in time I was the Attorney General, I said, hold strain breads. You's not the same man I had a conversation with and warn you? What you tell me then? Well, you know, boy, I didn't think, and you know. Well, we knew a little too late. What I can tell you as AG, we're working on a very important piece of law to amend certain of the things that you just spoke about. We have to do it in consultation. The Minister of Labor is very committed to making sure that this happens. For now, while we're working our way to where we want to go, we just want to start. We have to start. We can't be visualizing the building and how we painting it if we don't build the building. We can't visualize who gets in a spot until we actually put the spot down. So for San Fernando, we want San Fernando to pocket by pocket see a vision, and from the vision, work our way to all the excellent things you have mentioned tonight. You are spot on, correct, sir, you are. But we have to work our way there. Anyone else? Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not
Thank you
at
for
all.
the opportunity. I just wanted to assure the gentleman in the back that having been in this business for 43 years, and I'm a local person from San Fernando, that this government, this particular government, has created what they call the Permanent Local Content Committee, which comprises membership from all the different ministries, so that they are putting, in fact, I was the founder of the local content chamber. If you know the history of the city, San Fernando has no chamber right now except one, which was just formed about 6 or 8 months ago. And we had, before that, we had the local content, which speaks to what this lady was just asking a while ago about local involvement in these projects. Right? So this government, your government right now has put together the Permanent Local Content Committee, which addresses people, local people getting work, and sort of putting a sort of a cap on all these foreign people who come in here to take my work too. Because I have been in the industry for 43 years, and yet still I see guys coming in and getting work permits and things like that. So your government is doing something. I just wanted to add my little piece to it.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to abuse your time, but I need the message to spread because it's not one man. This is not a Faris Al Rawi or Keith Rowley show. This is a Nigam Joseph show, a Laverne Smith show, a Junior Regrello show. This is a teamwork show. You've heard from one voice tonight principally, apart from Terence Bipart. We want to be able to show you the unified vision to take us to where we want to go. Can I just ask you to please help to spread the word? There's no way I could go door to door and tell this story to people. It has to be done in forums like this. But it has to be done in forums where there are people that don't support us as well, because their ideas matter too. Their point of view matters as well. If we get some of the critical thinkers and doubters in one room, that's when we start to make a difference. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience tonight. We are continuing these exercises every week. We intend to ask some concentrated communities to have a view of what we're doing, in particular the business community and the local contracting community who hire people, and we're going to coordinate that event, and we welcome your point of view. Can I thank you for coming out tonight? Wish you just a farewell. We have a vote of thanks just to give quickly, and we'll invite Deputy Mayor? Oh, Riyadh, forgive me, Riyadh Hussain, our councillor-elect, to come to the podium.
Before Riyadh take the mic, let's please hold a hand because there are some goodies supplied by the electoral district of Lesotho, East Pero, after where we will fellowship and enjoy the rest of the evening and probably ask them some questions and interact with them on a one-to-one. So at this point, let's invite the prospective candidate for the district of warm welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And a pleasant good night to everyone here tonight. You know, while sitting on the head table there, it just took me back so far. I was just, I got excited. That child just got a toy. You know, it gets so excited just hearing the different steps that we are taking here and the vision that our MP for San Fernando West has brought to us here tonight. So let's give him a round of applause again. Okay. So my task is not an easy one, you know. It's not a small task to do the vote of thanks. It's a big one, but I'll try my best. So I'd like firstly to thank our member for San Fernando West, the Honorable Faris Al Rawi, for putting this meeting together to keep the constituency informed not only with its plans for San Fernando West, but also for the development for San Fernando in the future. Thanking the UDCAD project manager, Mr. Terence Bipat, for the insights for the various projects to be undertaken by the government. For the electoral district of Lezafor East Sipero, for the humane service, ensuring the success of tonight's event. To the executive and the general membership of the San Fernando West for their ongoing support for the MP and presence here tonight. Also, for Ms. Tracy Gomez for tonight's invocation. For the management of Caribbean Airlines Skiffle Bunch, and the person who chaired tonight's proceedings, none other than His Worship the Mayor, Alderman Junior Regrello. Another dedicated and hard-working citizen of San Fernando. And I want to thank him also for those traffic plans, whom many have said, Mr. Mayor, it's working out, but after a couple days, it has brought to fruition. So we are happy today. Also, I would also like to thank our Deputy Mayor for her welcome remarks for tonight's proceedings, Mrs. Vedia Mongol-Bisesa. So, Alderman Junior Regrello, it was an easy proceeding for us tonight. Once he is here, things will just fall into place. So I want to thank everybody for being here with us tonight, our councillors who are here with us, members of the public, friends and families who have turned up here tonight. I would like you all to get a safe journey back home, and thanking everybody for being us here tonight, and God blessings to everyone. Thank you.
So, Chairperson of the electoral district, Chairperson of the electoral district, you're sorting out the goodies upstairs. Lady Vice, you're sorting out the goodies upstairs. Is coming down, or we have to go? What do I have to do? And bring it down. So hold your seat, ladies and gentlemen. There's some surprise packages. Lobster will be served and caviar. Johnny Walker Black. Steak. Mr. Maurice.